SPIO's conception was a birth out of necessity, like all great things in therapy are.
It's like taking my hands home with them.
Every one of my parents love it.
The really cool thing is I've seen immediate shifts in function.
But I find these easier to use than the other ones I've used.
It's comfortable.
I use it with all different populations.
I absolutely, number one, my parents love it.
And I think the kids say it all because if they're comfortable in it and they're not pulling it off, it's obviously doing something for them.
It just works.
You absolutely have to try it.
I would say you need to learn about SPIO.
It began with a particular child who had a particular need, working with Nancy Hilton and his mom. And I had the luxury of coming in behind Nancy and picking up some of those children that she had been working with. So I got to watch this whole thing happen as the mother came in, and Nancy would say, how's it going and what's working, and the mom would report back, and Nancy would say, well, let's try this. You know, we need to connect his rib cage with his pelvis, and I think he needs some more sensory, some compression maybe, and she could do this with her hands, but we need something that's going to move with him. Then the mom had this amazing ability to sew, and so the mom started like stitching Lycra fabrics together, and then they started saying, well, maybe we could add Velcro closure here, or maybe we could add an extra layer to give him a little more input, you know, through the trunk space, and it just began to evolve. And the next thing you knew, they were making vests and leotards and unitards and little gloves and little arm wraps and leg wraps and whatever he needed.
It gives the children that I use it with, mostly very low tone, like the child with Down syndrome, and the children with orthosis and some ataxia, gives them consistent sensory feedback so that they can organize themselves better.
Some of the other components, pressure garments, are a little bit more static, and the kids would accommodate to the input after time, and so they would need adjustments made to it, whereas the material with the SPIO is a lot more dynamic, so every time the kids move, their nervous system is resetting, and so they don't ever accommodate to the input.
I think that the vest works because it's flexible and it bends, and as the kids go one way, they sort of feel a tug, and it reminds them to use their muscles and come back up. So I think with the low tone, it's giving that input and providing them with some stability and also just awareness of where their muscles are in order to use them.
SPIO looked like something that would meet the sensory needs and also the postural needs of my children with both like neuromotor issues and also on the sensory end.
Well, because I liked the material that SPIO uses to make their pressure suits, and thought that they would not be as bulky as some of the other products that I had seen out in the field.
I get a very good sensory response from the kids. It gives them a lot of organization. It gives them a great posture and movement. They seem to be able to have less falls when they're walking, especially with the real dyskinetic child.
As far as how it works for the sensory kids, I think that it just gives them that extra input to their body. The squeeze, which tends to be calming, the deep pressure is calming for them, and also gives them some awareness of where their body is in space.
It's uniform compression, I guess, and some of the other vests that they use, they're not so snug, and they tend to move around more. It doesn't give an overall compression.
I use it with kids that have neuromuscular disorders, so that they need it for a lot of trunk stability, a lot of stabilizing input. I also use it with my kids that have a lot of sensory issues, and they all love it.
My experience of working with SPIO is with children with low tone, and I usually use the vest on their trunk, and I think that it gives them some proprioceptive and tactile input to the trunk, but it also makes them a little more stable.
I use the SPIO vests mostly with kids with low tone who need some support for more stability through their core. And I also use them with kids with sensory processing issues, poor body awareness, proprioception, a lot of sensory seekers. I use the shirts and the pants to kind of give them some input and calm them down.
And then for some of the kids with the higher tone issues as well, you know, they have that lower tone trunk kind of lacking piece, but then they've got all this, you know, spasticity or whatever you want to call it that hangs out there in the extremities. So if you can help to pull their trunk together, you get some better quality movement in the extremities.
The most recent diagnoses that I've used it for is Angelman syndrome. I've also have a few ethetoid children that I use it on, as well as hypotonia.
I use SPIO suits with children who actually have low tone, or children who have normal to low tone but have a lot of sensory processing issues.
With my low-tone children, I find that they have better trunk control and move better. With the children on the spectrum, they've found that their behavior is better. Sometimes they have better speech.
I've had kids that will put it on and they're up on their toes all the time, have a lot of sensory issues. Kids that fall under the autism umbrella or PDD, and as soon as they put it on, they'll start talking. They're a lot more organized, come together. I mean, really significant differences right away.
The really cool thing is I've seen immediate shifts in function when I put it on from the assessment kit. Put it on, I try it, and they're like sitting up independently, and they realize it. The child realizes it and wants to do it more and more.
I have kids that I put it on one time like for sizing, and then we take it off and they're crying and screaming and reaching for it because they want it back. They want to put it on. They know right away that they want it.
I've seen sensory kids instantly sort of calm down when it's on, and where they're seeking movement and all over the place, I've seen them put it on. Getting it on sometimes is traumatic for the sensory kids, but once it's on, they really adjust to it and tend to settle down.
Once they have it on and they see what it does and how it organizes them, especially the children with sensory processing dysfunction, these children takes them maybe a little bit longer to get adjusted to them, but once they have it on, they realize that it gives them the input they need, so they respond quite well to it.
Because I have kids that wear those all the time, 24/7, and you're battling them to get it off to laundry it, so we buy them a couple so they can wear one until you're ready to laundry that one, take it off, and put the other one on.
If you work with children with neuromotor problems, children with low muscle tone, children with sensory processing dysfunction, you have to give it a try, because it's one of the adjuncts that I talk about in the courses that I teach that I think works effectively as an adjunct to our therapy.
I would say to absolutely go online, check it out, read the testimonials, and I would say that it's going to not only make the child's life happier, but also maybe your life as a parent a little bit easier, because your child's more comfortable and that's less stressful for both you and your family.
You just have to try it. Trial and error. I can't imagine it's good for everyone. It's what nothing is, good for everyone. But trial and error, try it.
Then as I tried it and got used to it and understood the way that the fabric moves with the kids, I became sold on SPIO, and so I think it's worth exploring for any therapist. It's changed a lot of the kids that I work with.
They have to try it, absolutely. No doubt about it.